Hello, dear first year students. Welcome to English classroom. This is Srikanth, Assistant Professor of English. Today, we'll take up very interesting topic from the first semester syllabus. Are you ready? Yes. Let us see the topic. Our topic is a very interesting short story written by a famous Indo-Anglian writer, Ruskin Bond. So the story is The Eyes Are Not Here. So this story has other titles as well. The Eyes Have It is also another title, and the story has another title, The Girl on the Train. Okay, so the eyes are not here. So this story deals with eyes. You all know that eyes are an important part of our sensory system, very important sense organs with which we recognize colors, recognize people, we enjoy the splendors of nature. So this story has something to do with the eyes, the sense or important sense organs. Okay, so let's see something about our author. Ruskin Bond was born in 1934 and is still living. So 1934 to the present time is the living author. So he's an Indo-Anglo writer, as I already told you. This is a picture you can see. He is the one of the most prolific short story writers in English from India. Actually, though he's an Indo-Anglo writer, he settled down in India. He lives in Kasauli. He was born in Kasauli and now he is living in a place called Masuri. So, few points I would like to tell about this author. So, Ruskin Bond is a renowned author of British descent, contributed to children's literature, especially short stories. As I told you, he wrote number of short stories generally which enthuse children. So, you might have read his stories during your school days, intermediate days. So, still we keep on reading, though they are written for children, they are good enough for all the ages of people. So some of the famous short stories of Ruskin Bond include The Blue Umbrella. It's a very good story, very interesting story. The Cherry Tree, the story of Rahul. Okay, he grows along with as the tree grows. The Meeting Pool. Few school-going children going to a poolside, swimming over there, and they want to meet again. So that's the story about which centers around a pool in Himalayan mountains. Grandfather's private zoo. Another story. Cricket for the crocodile. Dust on the mountain, and the eyes are not here. There are so many other stories, but I picked these stories for you. If you are interested, you can browse through Google and you can go through them if you are really interested. And he won many important awards. Very prestigious Sahitya Academy Award, Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, and so many. So let's go to the story now. The setting of the story. The eyes are not here. So as you can see the train and the platform, passengers walking on the platform. So though the story is set in train, the story happens on a train. So the journey continues in the Himalayan foothills actually, generally in the North India towards the northern side of India. So the route is a place called Rohana in the story. Okay, one of the travelers starts his journey in Rohana, and the next one of the important stations is Saharanpur, and Dehradun, and final destination is Masuri. Masuri is nowadays in the present state of Uttarakhand. Okay, this is the route of the journey. So the narrator starts his journey from Rohana and ends at Masuri, and another fellow traveler joins in on his journey, and he or she boards at Saharanpur. He or she joins at Rohana actually, and she gets down on Saharanpur. That's the route. So what happens in the story? The narrator who tells the story is a young boy, but he's blind. A blind boy narrating his story. Okay, and a girl. He was joined with another fellow traveler, and she happens to be a girl. She was also blind. So two blind people interacting with each other, trying to interact with each other. What happens in the story? Are you really interested? Yes, we are going to read the story now, little while from now. So they do not know that the other is blind. Another important element of the story is they do not know that the other is blind. So how does it? Okay, how they are going to understand the other person? So that is important aspect of the story. And two elements are important in the story. One is pathos, that is emotions play a big role in the story. Emotions. How does a blind man or a girl, blind boy or a girl think inside his heart? Emotions and feelings are very, very important part of the story. And irony. Irony means you think something, the opposite will happen, contrary to what is expected. So irony is also an important element of the story, right? And let's see something else from here. We'll go to the story. Yes, the eyes are not here. It is also called the eyes habit. So as I told you, an Indo-Anglian writer, short story writer, Ruskin Bond, wrote this story. So I'll try to read out and try to explain. So I'll take you through this story right now, and I want your total attention from here. So the narrator is a young blind boy. So he's saying, I had the train compartment to myself up to Rohana. Then a girl got him. He boards the train. He was already traveling from Rohana. Okay. Somewhere from behind Rohana. And another girl joins him in the story at Rohana. And I gets in and she tries to occupy the same compartment. The couple who saw her off were probably her parents. They seemed very anxious about her comfort, and the women gave the girl detailed instructions as to where to keep her things, when not to lean out of the windows, and how to avoid speaking to strangers. So, two people actually, maybe they happen to be their parents, according to our narrator. Okay, they come to the station to give her their farewell, to give her their, they want to see her off actually. They want to say goodbye to her. So they go on giving final instructions as to how to behave. They seem to be a little bit worried about her safety and a little bit worried about whether she could reach her destination properly. Okay, they go off and the train starts. They call the good boys, and the train pulled out of the station. As I was totally blind at the time, my eyes sensitive only to light and darkness, I was unable to tell what the girl looked like. But I knew she wore slippers from the way they slapped against her heels. So her parents say goodbye to her, they leave, and the train starts. As the young man says that I could not see anything, but I could hear the way she walks, and he could hear the slapping of the slippers which she was wearing. Next. It would take me some time to discover something about her looks, and perhaps I never would, but I liked the sound of her voice and even the sound of her slippers. So he's saying that he was a little bit curious as far as her voice is concerned. That was good. That sounds sweet. Even the sound of her slippers was good. But he wants to know whether she is a beautiful girl. He didn't know. He might know from the conversation from a little while from now, or he might not know as well. It all depends on how the circumstances shape up. So he's very curious about her looks. Her voice is, as far as her voice, it was good. So he wants to know whether she is okay, looks pretty or doesn't look pretty. So he asked a question. Are you going all the way to Dehra? I asked. So next station. Okay, he thought that she may be going to Dehradun. She asked a question. I must have been sitting in a dark corner because my voice startled her. She gave a little exclamation and said, I didn't know anyone else was here. And she was surprised to hear a voice. Okay. Till such time she thought that nobody was there in the compartment. She was all alone. But suddenly another voice asking a question. So she was surprised and she explained that somebody was sitting over there in the compartment. Okay. Well, and she answers that I didn't know somebody was sitting here. Well, it often happens that people with good eyesight fail to see what is right in front of them. They have too much to take in, I suppose, whereas people who cannot see or see very little have to take only the essentials, whatever registers tellingly on their remaining senses. So here the narrator, the young boy, contemplates within himself. Okay, generally people who can see, generally they don't see what is right in front of them because they have to remember so many things and they simply ignore what is there right in front of them. Whereas blind people, because they have to remember only main essential things, generally they do remember more than the people who can see. That was the inner dialogue that was going on inside him. So, girl, I didn't see you either, I said, but I heard you come in. So he said, okay, consciously that even I didn't see you either. So he's not revealing that he was a blind man, blind boy. Okay, but I heard you come in. But I heard you come in. Okay. I wondered if I would be able to prevent her from discovering that I was blind. Provided I keep to my seat, I thought it shouldn't be too difficult. The girl said, I'm getting off at Saharanpur. My aunt is meeting me there. So he thought to himself that if I can be a little bit clever, if I can stick to my seat, I can easily hide the fact that I am blind. She will not be able to discover the fact that the person who was interacting with her is a blind boy. So you want to hide the fact that he was blind. And the girl says that she was getting down in Saharanpur and she is not going all the way to Dehradun. She is going to get down in Saharanpur. So then I had better not get too familiar, I replied. Okay, one second. I didn't see you either. Okay. The girl said, I'm getting off at Saharanpur. My aunt is meeting me there. So the girl said that she was getting down at Saharanpur and her aunt is meeting her there. So she told about her aunt is going to receive her. Then I had better not get too familiar, I replied. Aunts are usually formidable creatures. Okay, he got a little bit of scare about aunties. Okay, they are formidable creatures. They will be very, very frightening. So I better, what he's saying, I had better not too familiar. Okay, I should not be, okay, making friends with you because you say that your aunt is going to receive. Okay, had better means should. I should not better get familiar, more familiar. So where are you going? She asked. To Dehra and then to Missouri. Yes. This particular place is pronounced as, spelling is pronounced as Missouri, not Missouri. So he said that he is going all the way to Missouri. After Shahranpur, there comes Dehradun, and after that Dehradun, there is Missouri. So he traveling to Missouri that day. Oh, how lucky you are! I wish I were going to Missouri. I love the hills, especially in October. Okay, she was very much fascinated by the place. Okay, Missouri is a beautiful place. Even I would love to go to that place. The atmosphere, the weather would be very, very fine over there. Yes, this is the best time I said, calling on my memories. The hills are covered with wild dahlias, the sun is delicious, and at night you can sit in front of a log fire and drink a little brandy. Most of the tourists are gone and the roads are quiet and almost deserted. Yes, October is the best time. Yes, he also agreed to the fact that Generally, during October time, the Missouri will be very, very fine, calm, quiet place. One can go, all the tourists will go off. There won't be any disturbance of animals, and the atmosphere will be very warm. And the evenings you can spend, you can really enjoy the warmth of log fire. So it told a little bit more about the position and trying to describe more about Missouri, especially during the month of October. She was silent. I wondered if my words had touched her or whether she thought me a romantic fool. Then I made a mistake. So it was a little bit, okay, regretting. He regrets about himself that he told more than required to the girl because he told about the atmosphere, animals, the point that tourists have, okay, gone off to their places. So he thought that she might mistake him to be a romantic fool. He imagined so much about things. And he asked a question. What is it like outside? I asked. Because he can't see, he want to inquire the weather. So he asked, what is it like outside the window? How is the atmosphere like? She seemed to find nothing strange in the question. She had noticed already that I could not see. But her next question removed my doubts. She asked a question but immediately regretted. She might, why did he ask this question? Because he might notice that, okay, he cannot see. Okay, but immediately she asked a question. Why don't you look out of the window? She asked. Okay. He feared that she would notice his blindness because he asked a question and inquired how the weather was like outside. But immediately she asked a question, why don't you see for yourselves? Okay, that removed all the fears that she did not notice his blindness. So I moved easily along the berth and fell for the window ledge. The window was open and I faced it, making a pretense of studying the landscape. I heard the panting of the engine, the rumble of the wheels, and in my mind's eye, I could see telegraph poles flashing by. So easily moved to the window in order not to give any feeling that he could not see, he was blind. And he pretended he acted as if he was actually observing the weather outside. So he could hear the panting of the wheels and etc., rumbling of the trees, everything he observed, and he also imagined how the telegraph poles were moving back. Have you noticed? I ventured. The trees seem to be moving while we seem to be standing still. That always happens, she said. Do you see any animals? No, I answered quite confidently. I knew that there were hardly any animals left in the forest near Dehra. So he asked a question. Generally, while she commented to her that when we will be moving on a train, and generally all the things seem to be moving backward. Then she said that naturally happens. And he daringly asked him the question. She asked a question whether he could see any animals over there because she was a blind girl. He asked a question whether he could see any animals, and he told very confidently that there are no animals because he knows that there won't be any animals during that season. I turned from the window and faced the girl, and for a while we sat in silence. Okay, he turned away from the window, and there was pause for some time. There was no conversation happening between the girl and the boy. Okay, you haven't finally he started again, conversing the girl after a short pause. You have an interesting face, I remarked. I was becoming quite daring, but it was a safe remark. Few girls can resist flattery. She laughed pleasantly, a clear, ringing laugh. It's nice to be told I have an interesting face. I am tired of people telling me I have a pretty face. Okay. He made a remark about hers that he said that she had very interesting face. And he was daring and bold enough to make that comment. And that was very, very calculated risk actually. So he didn't know whether the girl is pretty, but he made a comment that her face is interesting. For that, she, okay, responded in such a way that she was tired of listening to people saying me that she had a beautiful place or a beautiful face or pretty face. But now, for the first time, I received a comment that she had an interesting face. So here he got the clue. From the beginning, the moment she boarded the train, he wants to know whether she was a beautiful girl. But now she herself told that many people commented that she had a beautiful face, beautiful face. So, oh, so you have a pretty face, thought I. And aloud I said, well, an interesting face can also be pretty. Here he got the clue. Then immediately understood, oh, you got a pretty face. And he commented that generally an interesting face would be beautiful as well. You are a very gallant young man, she said. But why are you so serious? Very gallant young man. That means you're so much interested about, you have showing a lot of attention towards women. You are so courageous boy. But still, why are you so serious? Because he's serious all the time, because all the time of thinking whether the girl has a beautiful face and he wants to hide the fact that he was blind. That's why naturally he can't be cheerful. He can't be very happy. He looked or he seemed or sounded very, very serious to the girl. The same question she asked. And well, I thought then that I would try to laugh at her, but the thought of laughter only made me feel troubled and lonely. He thought of laughing for her, but he could not laugh because naturally, blind people, it's very difficult to laugh. There are a lot of melancholy, a lot of sadness filled inside them. So he could not laugh naturally. We'll soon be at your station, I said. Okay, because she's going to make a very short journey from Rohana to Saharanpur. He commented that your station is going to come. Thanks goodness, it's a short journey. I can't bear to sit in a train for more than 2 or 3 years. She said that she could travel for a longer time in train. Yet I was prepared to sit for almost any length of time just to listen to her talking. Her voice had the sparkle of a mountain stream. As soon as she left the train, she would forget our brief encounter, but it would stay with me for the rest of the journey and for some time after. So again, he was thinking within himself. Okay, for her it may be a short journey. It has no significance for her, but for him, he can continue to travel listening to her voice. Especially her voice sounds to him like the ringing up a mountain stream. So it was like a music to him. Her voice, listening to her voice is like music to him, beautiful music to him. And she might forget after getting down from the train, but he would remember till the end of the journey and even after the journey for a few more days. That is the impact of her presence with you. But for her, it may not be any importance. It may not be of any importance. So the engines whistle shrieked, the carriage wheels changed their sound and rhythm. The girl got up and began to collect her things. So the train started slowing down in order to stop at the station, her destination, Saharanpur. So she got up to collect her things. I wondered if she wore her hair in a bun or if it was plaited. Perhaps it was hanging loose over her shoulders, or was it cut very short? So he had another curiosity. Okay, he got clarified about her face. It was beautiful. That was very, very clear to him with the conversation. Very cleverly, okay, he got the information from her. And the second question, while she was getting down, that was whether how she arranged her hair. Whether she arranged long or short, or whether she arranged in the form of a pigtail, or whether she arranged her hair in a plaited manner. You wanted to know. That was the final, okay, element of okay, suspense for him. You wanted to know how she kept her hair because he said that she was a very, very curious, very, very interesting girl to him. So the train drew slowly into the station. Outside there was shouting of porters and vendors and a high-pitched female voice near the carriage door. The voice must have belonged to the girl's aunt. So as the train came to a halt at the station, there was loud shouting of her name. He thought that perhaps she must have been her aunt. Okay, she must have come to the station in order to pick her up at the station. And the final this, the girl said goodbye. The girl said she was standing very close to me, so close that the perfume from her hair was tantalizing. I wanted to raise my hand and touch her hair, but she moved away. Only the scent of perfume still lingered where she had stood. Finally, while she was trying to get down the stairs, she stood up and she was standing so close to him. And the perfume from the hair was so powerful and touching his nostrils. And he was so, there was a feeling of great temptation. It was so much of tantalizing feeling. Actually, he was tempted to touch the hair and see whether she kept her hair loose or long or short or plaited or in the form of some kind of a pigtail in the form of a pony. So he could not do that actually, and the girl left off and got down from the train. She moved away, and once again, okay, here the author says that only the scent of perfume still lingered where she had stood. She left from the place and she wanted to get down from the door of the compartment, and the smell still lingered, still existed in the air. That a beautiful perfume still existed in the air. Okay, so author is making a comment. You may shatter the vase if you will, but the scent of the roses will still linger there still. Scent of the roses will linger there still. Suppose if you make a flower vase made of glass, okay, the vase may be broken into pieces, but still the smell of the flower still lingers in the air. He's trying to make a comparison. Next. There was some confusion in the doorway. A man getting into the compartment stammered an apology. Then the door banged and the world was shut out again. I returned to my berth. The guard blew his whistle and we moved off once again. I had a game to play and a new fellow traveler. While she was getting down, there was a little bit of confusion. She was getting down because she could not see. Other person thought that she could see, and there was a little bit of dash, a mild kind of dash between the passenger who was trying to enter and her not seeing him. And finally, the person who was entering saying apologies, saying sorry, and finally she got down and he got into the train and the train moved off and he was left behind all alone with his darkness. And another fellow traveler joined him and he thought that it was another play at hand. So it's what he's saying. The guard blew his whistle and we moved off once again. I had a game to play and a new fellow traveler. He had a game to play. Just like he finished one game with one first fellow traveler, he had to begin another play with the second traveler as well. That's like a play for him. The train gathered speed, the wheels took up their song, the carriage groaned and shook. I found the window and sat in front of it, staring into the daylight that was darkness for me. Okay, he moved back from his seat. The train picked momentum as well, and the wheels took up their song. Okay, he's comparing the sound of the wheels as sang. The once again the wheels picked up their own song of okay, a panting sound, and everything was normal. Again, once again, the journey continued, and he tried to peep outside the window, the broad daylight, but it was darkness for him once again because he was a blind man. So many things were happening outside the window. It could be a fascinating game, guessing what went on out there. So many things. Once A train moves the platform. You can still hear so many voices, vendors trying to sell their things, and you will be passing through some crowds, and you can see some small huts by the side of the stations, and he was trying to guess what was passing through by the train. It was a fascinating game because he was a blind man. Okay, inside his own self, there are so many things happening. It was a very fascinating game for him. So what happens next? You must be disappointed, he said. Okay. The man had entered the compartment, broke into my reverie. It was actually daydreaming. In a blind man's life, trying to imagine what was happening outside, it was like a reverie. It was like daydreaming. So the person who entered and joined him in the same compartment, he broke his daydreaming and he asked a question. You must be disappointed, he said. I'm not really as attractive a traveling companion as the one who just left. She was an interesting, okay, she was an interesting girl, I said. So the fellow passenger, second passenger, his fellow traveler, simply made a comment. Okay, you are not fortunate just before you were fortunate enough because I'm not as beautiful, as pretty as the girl who left in the previous station. Yes. So you might have been disappointed with my presence now. Okay. Then the boy answered him. She was an interesting girl, I said. Can you tell me, did she keep her hair long or short? So once again it picked up the question. Because anyway, this man saw that girl and he wanted to get some clarity from him. So he asked a question whether the girl who got off in the previous station, whether she kept her hair long or short. If that doubt could be clarified by the new passenger, he would be very satisfied. So, what would be the answer? This is the last small sentence of the story. So, I don't remember, he said, sounding puzzled. It was her eyes I noticed, not her hair. The new passenger, the new person who joined him said that I didn't notice her hair. Okay, okay. It was her eyes I noticed. What all I noticed were her eyes, not her hair. She had beautiful eyes, but they were of no use to her. She had very beautiful eyes. That's what I noticed. But her eyes are of no use to her. No use to her. She was completely blind. Did you notice? Yes. She was a blind girl. She could not see with her. He did not say anything about her hair, but instead he revealed a very shocking news to the blind boy that she could not see. Her eyes are blind, but she cannot see. That is the final revelation. Okay. So that is the irony. Irony means till the very end, we may be expecting something, how the story is going to, how the anecdote, how this episode is going to end. But finally, the ending is something contrary to what we expect. The second passenger told the young boy that the girl cannot see. It was like a shock to him. So irony is there, a lot of emotions are there, pathos. So this is a story. So now let's take to the conclusion part. So what is the conclusion? The author tries to peep into the world of the blind. Here, two blind people trying to interact. So author stepped into the shoes of the blind people and tried to peep into the darkness, the dark world. He wants to put a torchlight into their life and see. So all the emotions, what all the blind people undergo inside themselves. This is the theme of this short story. And another thing is truth coming out only at the end is the real irony in the story. Truth is coming out. So the young man understood that the other is first traveler, the girl was blind only at the end of the story. That is the irony. We didn't expect this is going to happen at the end. So we get so many, as readers, we get so many questions whether the girl will reveal that she is blind to him directly, whether he notices through the conversation that the girl also cannot see, or somebody else would tell them. So finally, after her leaving, next passenger told him that she could not see. So that is the irony. Okay. So here is a short question I would like all of you to answer. The question is, become between the narrator and the girl, who actually played with whom? There are two passengers. Both are blind. Okay. No one told the other that he or she cannot see. But who was actually playing? The girl was playing with him, or the boy was playing with the girl? That is the question. Just think for a while. Yes, the answer is the boy was playing with the girl. The girl was very, very innocent. She never told that. She simply asked whether they're animals, okay, etc., etc., real factual questions. But he, on the other hand, he told that there are no animals, okay, you have a pretty face, etc., etc. It goes on to show that the boy was trying to play with her, but he was also not, he's not trying to cheat her. So this is a story. The eyes are not here. Means they don't have eyes actually, but they are only, they have their emotions. So that's the story. How do you like that? If you really like this story, if you really like this video, don't forget to like, share, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to press the bell icon. We'll meet in our next video. So all of you to try to put your comments. If you have any questions, try to ask your questions through in the comment box. I'll try to answer your questions. Thank you all for watching.